All right, another idea is so what? Let me ask a question to all you Bible scholars or gospel scholars, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. What is the most repeated verse in the red letters, like what Jesus spoke? What is the most repeated verse? What do you guys think? So I wrote a little book called Jesus of Nazareth and the Kingdom of God, and it's basically kind of summarizing the red letters and putting them into order. And I found out that the most repeated verse is the last will be first, and the first will be last. And so humility is really a missing link in our culture, and it's something that we all are guilty of because it's so strong in our culture. The our need to become first in everything is just, it's a crazy, insatiable desire and ambition that has created this tyrannical world we live in. We are the creators of this tyranny we live in. It's not the institutions. We create that, but we are the cause. We are the cause. With that ambition in your heart to be number one is the same ambition that creates wars and creates the crazy tyranny that exists from the top down, from the institutions, from in the corporations, the hugest corporations, the biggest halls of power reside in your heart. And you're creating that, and you're instigating it, and you're just making it flourish and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's where we're headed. We're heading for more and more concentrations of power from the top down, but that comes from you. Make no mistake about it, you are the instigator of it. You are guilty of it. So am I. And if we can reverse this, then that's where we will begin to see real changes. And so the last will be first. It's our need to control the external world. It's our insatiable desire and our need to control and to obtain the admiration of everyone around you. That ambition, that need. And that's also something that, underneath the whole surface is that need to return. It's always that need to return to home. We feel that void inside, this void of the separation of the consciousness that we have. We want so bad to return to that whole, and we've been deceived. We've been deceived in our culture that we've been taught that if you strive to be number one, you will achieve. You will have returned home. You will have achieved what we're all trying to achieve. But you don't achieve that. And that's been well documented in everything. Some of the craziest, people are the ones who do achieve that number one. And they go through so much pain and suffering to get there. But in God's world, when you trust God, and that's the basis of all this, is trusting in God and not needing to control that external world. That surrendering to God and the trusting, the jumping off the cliff. Jumping off the cliff and trusting God. Trusting that the forceful way is not the optimal way. It's not the best way. There's always a better way than the use of force. And the use of force is is trying to control everything around you, which is the basis of competition, right? When we're competing against everyone else, we're trying to, by force, subdue the competition. And it creates division, and it creates hatred, and it creates separation, and everyone's competing against each other. No one's cooperation. So cooperation is the opposite of that. So the last will be first is something that we really have to take to heart when we trust in God. Our service spirit comes out. And when we trust in God, and when we surrender, and when once we do that, love comes into your heart. It's the natural thing, because that's what you are. That's what we all are. So once you trust and you stop forcing and you stop doing that, love automatically comes in, peace comes into your heart. And once you have that, you are kind of home. I mean, that's what we want. That's where we come from. And so once you become fulfilled in the moment. Every moment is a different moment, but once you enact that right that we have, the right to choose to love, which is done through God, through faith, which we'll get to later. But yeah, the great faith in God and just surrendering, jumping off that cliff. And yeah, the trust in God. Once we do that, then your fulfillment will automatically create the need or wanting to serve others, because you already have what you want. You already have what you need. You don't need anything else. So once you have what you need, all you want to see is other people to stop suffering, right? I mean, you're kind of like, all right, I already got what I want. Now, what do you want? And so that's the basis of how to serve. You don't want to serve forcefully. You never want to love forcefully, because it's not love, right? It has to be out of your own volition, your own choice, which starts with that surrendering. So the last will be first. And it will be us, the people who choose this road. This is not an easy road. You are fulfilled, yes. But what happens is once you become very peaceful, very spiritual, who do you attract?